All right, I'm just making sure. There we go. Hello and welcome to Moonlit Magic Live. We are having coffee together today. We decided to switch things up a little bit from the slumber parties that we've been having and see if you guys want to hang out on a Sunday afternoon. And if it's nice out and you want to catch the replay, or if you're here catching the replay, just let us know. And that's about all I have to say. We're here because this is the kind of thing I like to do with my friends, and these are my friends. So you guys recognize Nikki. She's my Moonlit Magic partner. And then this is Christina. She is a longtime friend who I met in a whole different lifetime. Again, literally different lifetime than I met Nikki. And I don't mean that in the, esoteric way, literally like I was a whole different person, yes. Right? So I'm going to let them introduce themselves. But while they're doing that, I want to mention really quickly, I brought a few decks of Oracle cards that I'm going to shuffle the energy of this live stream, and then we're going to talk about it. And then Christina's going to do a deck too, I think, at the same time. Mm-hmm. These are the decks that I used in the Pisces full moon spread that we do every 2 weeks. So we do a full and new moon layout that's exclusive right here Christina actually follows along and sends pictures. So that's like one of my favorite things, because that's like the dream for me. And so I'm going to shuffle these, and then we're going to talk about it after the introductions. I'm Elise, by the way. Did I say that? Because I totally forgot.
I don't think you did.
One of you go ahead, pick. You choose.
Okay, I'll go first, I guess. I'm Christina, and as I said, I think we met back in 2010, 2010, I think. It seriously was just it's so funny to think about the type of person I was then. But yeah, I started getting on this spiritual journey a couple years ago. I went through a really bad divorce and kind of just wanted more out of my connection, not only with God, but with myself. And I knew that I needed that. So it's been a great journey. And it was so incredible, the way Elise reached out. I just had bought one of my first mystical books, and just getting into it, and you sending me that message was just so out of because I hadn't spoken to you in forever. And I was like, wow, how incredible is it that, God, the universe, whatever, just can bring us on the same path when it's needed. So,
and we met in a Facebook group
that's so
years and years ago, a totally different subject matter, reconnected, I think 5 years ago, on this same sort of spiritual journey. We were in the same place, and then again, but we're in totally different places than we were at that time. So it's really interesting how we've kind of had really different paths, but followed a similar trajectory.
It just, for me, confirms that there really is no such thing as coincidence. People come into our lives for very specific reasons, and
you can't predict. Yeah. You have no idea, no way of knowing. That's the actual perfect introduction for Nikki, because that's similar with us, just a different.
Yeah, us meeting was through our job. We both worked at the same place, and then maybe a decade later, we reconnected. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm Nikki. I am the author of the Moonlit Living Moon Journal, which also has a subscription box. I make products that are bath bombs, soaps, things like that. And that is a creative outlet for me that helps me mentally just, deal with things. I need to create something. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's writing or making something physically. That's my thing, is I just need to make things.
Yeah. And that's a big part of it too, is we all have a different creative process, different outlets and ways to express, but it's a really similar healing experience.
Yeah.
We all have that. What does creating do for you? And I even had some interesting beliefs about what it meant to be creative. So things are so different based on just your path, your community, your environment. And that's kind of what we're here to talk about, because we've traveled these very different roads, but just came to a place of like authentic self-discovery. And I think that was the most important thing. I have my cards ready.
How many did you pull?
I just pulled one from each deck.
Okay. So I'm going to as well. Okay.
So the reason, like the big theme here, okay, before we start to jump into the topics and really talk about that, the big theme for this Pisces full moon, we're in Virgo season. That's where the sun resides right now, not for much longer, but the way these two energies come together and what they illuminate. And what we were talking about is how our consciousness, our ideas, our beliefs about ourselves, what we deserve, what we think, and what we do always, everything starts there. Everything that we anchored into our lives starts with that. And then we have to decide if we like it or not. We have to become self-aware, because we're anchoring things in that we may not even realize. And we want to take the things that have, I guess, disempowered us, taken pieces of us away, and then take our power back by looking at those things and no longer being afraid to explore them. And so that's like the main thing that we're doing here. I want to encourage you as well. Say hi if you're here. Let us know. We're going to be doing oracle card readings at the end. So hopefully we'll see a whole bunch of hands pop up when that rolls around, because that's usually where the fun, and the real dynamic stuff starts. But is there anything that you guys want to say or before we do this little scene?
No, I think you did a really great job explaining what we're going over. So I think we're good.
All right. So the overall energy, Christina, you're ready, right?
Yep.
I got the soul star chakra. So we're merging with the divine. Isn't that like spot on? Taking the consciousness, the ideas, and just shifting them to re-empower ourselves. We can't change the things that have been done to us, or the things that we've done that maybe we might regret. But what we can do is look at them differently. Take these growth experiences rather than mistakes or beating ourselves up because we don't fit into someone else's frame of life. And then the other card that I got was the Violet Fire. Transmutation, detoxification, psychic vision, and constant distraction. So I'm assuming that's the other side of it. Detoxification. I think that's really interesting too, because isn't that what we're doing with the actual ideas that are at play here?
Also perfect for Virgo season.
I think it's all perfect, because that is, it really is, because we don't want to. The habit, it's our habits, it's our patterns, it's everything. It starts somewhere else. It starts from an unseen sort of energetic place. So the energy that we take into our habits, tending our home, our bodies, our own mental health, anything, is the energy that is going to anchor in. So if we have a fearful energy, or we feel anxious or worried, no matter what we are exploring,
that's where we
it's gonna feel that way. It doesn't mean that there's not, I want to say dark places, but interesting places to feel around that are a little bit uncomfortable. They're very uncomfortable, but you have to be willing to look. And that's another part of this full moon, how that correlates the illumination. You get to see into the dark places in yourself when this energy is so full. You can't ignore it. And that's that whole like full moon, when you're wild at the full moon thing, because you can't ignore the energy when it's so strong. But what do you do with it? Do you let it throw you around and feel, taken advantage of, I guess, by it? Or do you take your power back? I want to mention too, sorry, guys, I never stop talking. I'm very excited. I want to thank Sierra is here as well. She's taking care of the comments for
Thanks,
us. So
Sierra.
whatever comes through, she's going to be taking care of that for us. And so she'll be the one replying if anyone has anything that they want to say. So far, so good. Christina, what do you have to add to the
Oh
energy?
my gosh, it's so good. Okay, so my cards, they're the Viking Oracle cards. So my family is half Norwegian. I'm half Norwegian and Filipino and British. And so when I first did Ancestry, I just have to give a quick background. I'm sorry. Why I love Vikings so much. And it's not because of the Viking show, even though it's great. But I'm actually related 8th generationally to Eric the Red and Leif Erikson. So I have like that Viking blood in me. So that explained so much when I did my Ancestry. And so I just like became obsessed with like learning about that. And so I have the Viking Oracle deck. And so it was Perthero reversed, which I actually learned, if you ever saw Pirates of the Caribbean, you know that game they were playing with the dice? Like, they would like bet years of their life on the boat. Okay, so that's basically exactly what this game is. So what this represents is basically it says, you might believe you can't escape your fate. Gambling may be an issue, but opportunity is knocking. You can change your path, but we have to be prepared for the answer when opportunity comes knocking. So that was great.
How perfect is that?
That's so good. See, that's why I like to do this sort of stuff. This is why it's so fun.
But so the Norse were very fond of these betting games, including tossing the dice, and this was their entertainment. But this is also kind of like where they did their runes and where they would like tell their like, I don't want to say like future, but that's where they would like read their runes or whatever. And then my second card is, it's also funny. So I love Edgar Allan Poe, and this is the Three of Wands reversed. So I'm still learning about the actual tarot deck. But the Three of Wands, which says, in this image, a man on a ship holds a candle. He spots a large, dark galleon in the distance. There's a bright candle burning at the stern of his ship, which has been destroyed by a storm at sea. So the reverse means that we have disappointed ourselves and that there's self-imposed limits and comfort zones, that there are creative blocks that we have to get through. So.
Yeah, well, because the Three of Wands generally too represents like opportunities, like being aware that something's on the horizon and it's like coming in for you. You're aware of that, you know, so that can really be so it's just so spot on with like the self-imposed beliefs, how our perspective and like how expansive our beliefs are frames everything that we experience, how small our world is. It, you know, is really framed about what we believe about ourselves. So we may not be able to change every circumstance at every moment, but every choice we make really can shape our empowerment in that situation or our disempowerment, you know, and how we feel about it, appreciate it, the growth experience or whatever. So we need to go, we need to move on, we need to move forward. And so what we did was put a poll up in our group, the Secret Society of Self-Care, on Facebook, and ask, you know, what makes you feel like, what has made you feel bad or heavy? Because that's what it is. It's a heaviness. Like maybe you don't realize what you're ashamed of, but it's like a guilt, a heaviness. There's a nagging feeling. You know, what would you guys say that that sort of, when you feel like you've made a mistake or you're wrong based on, you know, someone else's expectations, what does that feel like to you?
For me personally, I have a lot of experience with getting anxiety over things. And then I like something so small that I will view as a mistake from someone else's point of view that I put onto myself because what's projected onto me. I can spend days dwelling on something that doesn't even matter. And it becomes like where like my whole life can start revolving around one mistake. And I think again, that's one of the things that we're going to talk about, is shifting the idea of a mistake being something bad, and just even the word mistake to being an experience. Like just even reframing the word of what you're labeling it.
The language of it matters.
Yes.
Like when because actually I texted Christina something, and because she always says I'm bad at Facebook messages.
Okay, she does.
She says that, and I sent her and I said, I know you're bad at Facebook, and I said, no, bad means you don't care to pay attention to it most of the time because you don't have a use for it. It was
Right.
This particular situation was different, and I know that you wanted to know, so I shared that with you. But even reframing little stuff like that, like I'm bad at this, we can be joking, but at what point do we realize that we're not joking? You know what I mean? Like it's a deeper thing. We do joke around. Humor can be wonderful, lighten the mood, and do really great things for us, but at the same time we have to recognize when we're using that to deflect.
100%. I'm notorious, like when I experience shame, I have a lot of like body shame personally. Like I struggle with my weight for so long that I would do that all the time. Like anytime I couldn't do something, I would joke and be like, oh, it's because I'm fat, ha 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 ha, like try to like joke and just like brush that off. And I think a lot of us use humor and deflection to kind of like almost pre-reject ourselves, so that way we can already like experience and that way nobody else can like make us feel bad, because we're already like, oh, I already feel bad, I already know, and whatever you say doesn't.
Right. And get ahead of it. Be funny.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us who felt like out of place or like we didn't belong for whatever reason that was, you develop a sense of humor, or, this is actually the perfect segue into the next topic for reframing healing, mental and physical health, because I think it's all really related together. But there was something really specific that I wrote down, and I wrote that I masked myself because I just did what I saw others do, and I had no idea that there was any other way to be than to fit in, than to try to fit in, to try to be like the people that were cooler, better, like what's the word? Like they had it together. People liked that they were likable, or
can you ask Daddy?
That's okay. My dog had to come say hi.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, so like I wanted to mention, Sierra's been commenting too. She's been bringing some stuff, and she says it really hurts her when she's told that someone's disappointed in her. But like those particular words, the word disappointed, like hits her harder than being punished. Like as a kid, that was something from her childhood, and she said, what was it? She doesn't want people to like be upset, or she doesn't want to be upset with somebody. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. Sierra, help me. You know what? I actually watched something about live streams, and it made me feel so much better, because this woman who was doing this live stream and this teaching thing, and she was just like looking down at her comments for like full minute, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, this is not that much pressure, we can like chill out a little bit and relax. And we want to keep on time. I think that's mostly the thing. And but anyway, the masking, like I had no idea I was masking. I had no idea that how do I say these words? I thought being myself was wrong.
Yes.
Okay. Like being the way I was wrong because it didn't fit how the right people were. Mm-hmm. Right. And now the difference is, and whether we're talking about our health, our spiritual journey, our relationships, the difference now is I'm the center. Like it or not, I'm the center of my own world. Everyone else goes away from me. So if I am miserable, I'm miserable. I'm going to be miserable always in any circumstance, no matter what I have. I'll never be able to receive what I really want, love, and from others, or uphold things without self-sabotage because of what I believe about me. Because I thought I had to be this other thing to fit in. But what happens is we break down. Something happens and we suppress this for forever, and then we break.
Yep.
And that's where we start to realize, like, I can't just, maybe it's not wrong to be me. But it takes a while, doesn't it? And like, so this is my, sharing on the mental, physical health thing. But like, that's what it was. It took me an actual breakdown. And I think we have to have that. Sierra said, if she's upset about something, she doesn't want to burden people. So,
I'm the same way.
And sometimes I feel like or the impulse to reach out to people, and I don't. Do you feel like that? Like you start to write something maybe, and then you're like, oh, God,
like they have more important things going on. They have other things. I'm not that important. Yeah,
sometimes it's reaching out to people, and sometimes it's like for help, and sometimes it's just to say hi, and you don't even realize like someone needed that probably. Like when you had the impulse to do that, again, from beyond like what we see,
right.
The connection, like in energy, somebody needed that,
And in the same way, when you do actually take the initiative and sometimes do reach out, a lot of times the person will be like, oh, I was just thinking about you, or
exactly.
Yeah. So I want to shift and let you guys talk a little bit about like your awareness and like what was, I don't even know if it was your shift point maybe from where you were in mental, physical health, like when you were feeling heavy or stressed, and shifting that for yourself and where you are on that path.
You can go, Nikki.
You want to go
first?
So for me, I think that I definitely kind of had a breakdown, like you were saying, and I started to journal, which is honestly like where the Moonlit Living Moon Journal came from. Is I was journaling, and I realized that journaling was helping me become aware of the things that I was going through so that I could address them. But I'm really bad with sticking to things. So I needed a type of schedule that would keep me going, which I just did it with the moon phases, and that worked out. But I was just completely lost. I felt like I don't even remember half of my life because it was so much of just trying to fit into other places, like just trying to fit in anywhere, basically. Like I needed to be a part of something. And then I would realize like, well, I don't even like, people have these great memories. Facebook gives you your memories from 5 years ago or whatever. I'm like, what are my real memories, So journaling helped me kind of get back to figuring out me, not trying to fit in with a group or, be part of this or part of that. I don't know. I guess for me, like the big healing thing was writing. For me, it's writing things down and then making things, like I said. So
how did that affect, so you had a breakdown. How did that affect your life? I mean, because we all go through this. I think that there's like, again, the shame around like having a breakdown is normal. In my opinion, we're all going to have one eventually because most of us, at least in our age range and stuff, we have a lot of unaddressed things that we've been suppressing. So all of us have the breakdown eventually. Hopefully it doesn't blow your whole life up. Hopefully, some of us it does. I mean, I don't know what to say, and I hope it doesn't because that's painful. But something's going to break. What's it going to be?
Yeah. Right. I feel I have 3 kids, and for a while my life was just like I was a mom. That was it. But what else? What else was there? And I think it definitely affected my parenting, whether it was directly with my kids or how I wanted to appear as a parent to other parents. And now I think I'm so much more intentional with the way I'm trying to parent too, and what I'm trying to teach my kids. So I think that had a really big effect. I don't know if this is answering your question. But I was like cranky. I don't know. I was mad all the time and sad. I wasn't really present in any kind of interaction.
Yeah, I identify with that a lot as a parent. You'd hope that you can work that out before you have kids. You know, kind of the hope that you have, because it takes space. I don't care who you are, if you're not a partner or whatever, it doesn't matter. You need space, like, to detach yourself from how you're intertwined with other people and to realize what's me, what's them, you know, and you might come out the other side and believe the same things. I mean, but it's just with an understanding, like a wisdom. I've experienced, I've explored, and now I feel solid here. But being afraid to look at them is
Right.
It's going to come back and bite you. So, Christina, your turn.
So it's funny, like I can agree with you, Nikki. Like I sometimes try to think back like to my past, and I don't always have like full memories of things because I was so trying to just like fit in with other people, you know. So I remember being like 13 and like going to that goth phase, if you will, you know, like
I did. Yeah, we all did.
But here's the funny thing is like I remember going through that, and that felt so like, if you can't, I just love dark colors. And it's not because like I'm like demonic or like that's like what sits well with me. Like I feel comfortable in it. I enjoy those things. And my mother, who's a Southern Baptist, would like shove Jesus down my throat, and like then I would feel bad for, you know, like listening to that kind of music, for liking, you know, skulls and like death kind of thing. Like I again like
company, so don't like worry about it.
I always felt like I love those things, and so I had to stop liking those things because I was like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to go to hell. Like I don't want to disappoint my parents. I don't want to live like a bad life. And so I stopped like being interested in those things. I stopped like wearing black. I started wearing colors and like listening to happy music, if you will. And then like I started dating my ex-husband. And so I don't know if you relate to this, Elise, but when we all met in like that group, like there is kind of like this feeling of like we have to compete with each other almost. At least I felt that way because we're all like Marine wives, and you want to like, oh, I raised the best kids, or I'm the best housewife, or I'm like you. It's almost like this suburban Stepford wife kind of thing that I had in my head, that I was like, oh my gosh, like I need to be better. I need to like be on level with these wives because I am not on level with these wives. And so then I started feeling badly about myself. And then whenever I couldn't meet these expectations, I'm like, oh, I'm not making brownies for my husband's group, or I'm not making like cookies for his work. Like I'm not doing these things. I suck. And the reality is like, I'm just not, like, that's just not who I am. And so finally, like getting divorced was like the best thing that ever happened to me. And because in that, like, I broke. Like, that was my breakdown, where I realized, like, I had been living this life for 16 years for somebody else, like, trying to, like, fit in this facade and wear this mask and fit into this box that society, my family, the world, that military life, you know, kind of, like, makes you fit in. And I was like, no, I don't fit in. And here I am, like going back to pretty much what I was doing as like a teenager, you know, reading, watching scary movies and enjoying that, like that music again, and wearing black and just like enjoying.
Isn't that the interesting part about it is, but it's not, it's like, that's a personal like style. What does it do to someone when you say, here's who I am? And I understand kids are younger and they need to have like boundaries and limits. Like there's certain kids are naive. We understand, you know, don't just let your kids go do whatever they want.
For sure.
But at what point is it this person realizing kids are human, realizing they are whole human beings, even if they need guidance and, you know, direction, but like to say, here's who I am, and for someone to say, and you won't be under my roof.
Exactly. It's
and
like, well, I'm wrong.
Casual to like take a whole person and say, no, you're going to be this model, and what it does to you as a person to think, because you're a child, you know, maybe you're not a child, maybe you're older and this happens to you, but like in the military wife scene, like it's a different level of someone's expectations, or at least what you thought was their perceived expectation, you know, and how that puts weight on you or changes you from being who you are authentically as yourself. You don't get to be you fully. But then look at how you come full circle. Cause like I'm similar, the way that I dress or just I was never like as emo on the outside. It's always been more my soul. like music and has always been like rock and like different kind. And I don't mean like, you know, like I don't want anyone, we need to get like things are different. Everybody's got just different styles, taste. It's nothing to do with their character. Unless you're hurting or impressing yourself on other people. And I think it's actually more harmful to take all your beliefs and make it and try to grind everyone into that, like,
for sure,
you know, that mold. We're here, and this is like probably the perfect next segue to the spiritual stuff. We're all just on it. We're so unique and we have unique desires, and what satisfies me does not satisfy you.
Right.
And no matter how alike we are, we're going to need different things. We're going to go on different journeys, and we can connect at these certain points. And that's what's really fucking cool. You know, that's like the coolest part about it. Before we go over to this next little segment, we have a surprise. And this is, we do I have all my videos and we're always doing this stuff. And Nikki is the other side of this. We talk about her journal that she put together that helped me stay like on track and kind of put a pattern together. This whole thing was an idea. Nikki had this idea like 6 months ago, and I was like, no, that we will not be live streaming anything this summer. And she wrote this down a long time ago. So you see how things that I didn't even know about, ideas and thoughts and beliefs came together. And here we are sitting here live streaming. But so Nikki has had an idea for herself for a really long time. And her goal and dream has been to create this subscription box. So maybe just like say something really quick about it, but we're going to show it to you. I did an unboxing for her and we're going to premiere that.
I loved the unboxing, by the way. So the subscription box will each month have a journal, which is exactly what I was talking about, where I kind of took my healing, which is also like a spiritual journey, both tied together. I created a pattern for myself. I learned about moon journaling and I kind of put my own twist on it. I've then authored it and turned it into something so that I could share it with other people because I know it really helped me. I know that it helped Elise in a completely different way, like with keeping her on track. And then, like I said, I really just need to physically make things. So it has the journal to help you like with the mental, what we're talking about, right? Like mental and physical, like healing, turning your pain into
show
power.
It to them.
Okay, show it.
There's a little sample of the journal in there, but she's also creating more and more like inserts for the journal,
Yeah.
like, depending on what you need, a moon calendar. And so the way that we work together is like, I have, I don't know, I got like this harebrained idea to like start putting together a mantra, like mantras for the moon cycle. And Nikki's making a moon calendar, you know, so you can look at the calendar and have this playlist and know exactly, you know, which energy to lean into every day. So that's kind of like what we do.
Yeah. And the meditations, you have meditations that go with some of the journaling prompts. So it's really cool to see like the crossover.
And so it's like this journal that she made before she made this box is kind of what it's given me a lot of creative inspiration. Let's say like a lot of this came from that. So she has a little, you know, hopes, dreams, you know, like little mantras. And I'm like, here's a meditation. So it's just like creativity is what you take and what you make of it. And I've just gotten a lot from this journal, so I recommend it. But like it says, this officially hasn't launched yet, but here we go.
I love that.
And there it was, the premiere. That's the first unboxing that we've done, but she's in her sample phase right now. Like she's can't buy those, guys. Sorry, they're sold out. Well, maybe you can. Can you buy one?
I think I have 4 left for October if anyone wants to reach out.
You do have extra. Okay. So it's not that box. The next one is a surprise. So that's the last one that just went out.
Yes.
Another one upcoming really soon. And we'll do another unboxing, but it's just kind of like, it's really cool. It's fun. It's fun to open up. Let us know what your favorite parts about the unboxing video is, because we actually think it's really soothing to watch the tape and the twirling.
We like
And
hold the stones and the crystals. It's just I was like, this is...
Nikki's gonna have her own little playlist, like it's gonna be her own list, like so you can see all of her previous boxes and what's coming next, so you get an idea of what you're gonna get. And she has the journal is printed in there. That's the big, the other big thing, because she's got a PDF, and PDFs are awesome and fun and cool, but
yeah,
it's nice to not have to do the work yourself.
Yeah, that's one of the things I notice. If I'll download all kinds of stuff, all PDFs, but it doesn't mean I use it. I need something that I can physically write on. I know other people are really good with typing or printing out yourself, all that. I'm not, though.
No. And I mean, I'll write stuff down random in journals, but I'm more I move around. I like to move the energy around. That's with me with cards, altars. This is my creative process. This is where I channel my energy. These are, most of these are from Nikki's box too, that she sent me the last 2 months. The one in the middle actually came from Sierra in the mountains.
Oh, cool.
Ooh.
I know. Maybe she'll tell us about it in the comments. She actually I don't know if she dug it up or she brought this back from she's a geologist or something. I don't know. Yeah, north. And don't let me demean your tell us the real things so I'm not being rude. Anyway, so we're shifting into the next phase of reframing. And again, it's the spiritual journey. I think that we all, again, we all grew up different. Okay. That's all I'm going to say. I think it's different for each of us where we evolved from and why we do it. Why do we choose to explore that? And if we're met with resistance from our community, caregivers and stuff, that really can shape how we see ourselves. Like as children, dressing the wrong way, what does that say about you? What me as a person? I'm bad, right? Yeah. She's an environmental geologist. Thanks to Earth. Glad you're here, Amanda. I see you popped in there for to say wonderful things about Nikki's box. Said beautiful video and stunning products. Yes. Couldn't make a beautiful video without stunning products. So we're moving in again into that. I don't know which. Well, I think Christina, you were really. This is the topic that you really wanted to talk about the most. So let's let you start on that.
So again, like growing up, I was raised, like God, Jesus, all of that stuff. And so I went through a phase like through college and stuff where I kind of just didn't have any beliefs really. Like I was like, okay, like there's something greater out there. And then I got married and something was just like calling to me. Like it was full like God for sure. And so I started like going to church a lot more. And I just like really dived into like a relationship with God. And from a young age, I knew again, like that there was more out there. And for me, it was God. And I developed this really intense relationship with, my church and God. But then 2 years ago, when I got divorced, it was like the craziest shift of like the people who I thought I could call my family and the people who I thought were helping build my faith actually really just kind of destroyed my faith. And it's not like I want to be very clear, like God and humans, we're not the same. Like humans are very much at fault. God is perfect. And so I had this trust and this expectation, that these people were gonna, help me through this divorce and help me through this situation. But because, to them, God views divorce as like God hates divorce. And if you got divorced, you didn't pray hard enough, or you didn't love God enough, or you didn't have a strong enough relationship with God. And that's why you got divorced. And the reality was just like, I had no control over what my ex-husband did. And so he made his choices. I obviously didn't want to be divorced. And so I went through this place where I was like, okay, well, I'm never going back to church again. I don't want to experience church. But I continued to like connect with God. And I continued to like pray and talk to God. And I felt closer to God in those moments than I did when I was in a physical church. And then I started, learning about like natural medicine and like holistic medicine because I had been diagnosed with like depression and anxiety and all these things. And I personally wasn't ready to be on medication. So I wanted to like explore the natural realm of things. And to me, there was just like this click where I was like, okay, God made the universe. God created this world. God created these plants, these things. And so wouldn't it then make sense that God is in those things also? So I started questioning things that if you were to question in the church, you would immediately be like, oh, you worship the devil, or like, you're bad. Because I would say like, God's energy is in these crystals. God's energy is in me. The Bible says, that God put his energy in me, that I'm created in his image. So I have the ability to create life. I have the ability to destroy life too, the same way God does in different capacities. And that to me just like awoke something spiritually for me that I was like, okay, I can believe that there is a God. I can say that there is a God, and I can still, have my crystals and, like, that's my source, if that makes sense. Like my source isn't human, or my source isn't I know I keep saying that, but that's like I always hear my mother's voice in the back of my head going, Christina, you're worshiping Satan again. I'm like, no. So like for me, like I just learned that God is my source, and that's like I can do all this stuff, and I'm like I'm leaning into God when I'm doing these things, and that's how I like connect spiritually. I don't know.
I just think that's like so interesting that you actually hear your mom's voice, because like, isn't that what we're talking about? Like, it's normally much more subtle, right? Like, but that's like a thought. You recognize that's not physical, and that's
Right.
not present. That's not current. That's not now.
Mhm.
Why is that? Why am I living my life based on a frame that I don't even believe in?
Right.
And I'm willing to take the consequence of exploring that if that's what it needs. If I need
Exactly.
to break through certain walls, like for my personal belief, like I've always been a seeker, I guess.
Mhm.
But I've gone through, like, I don't know, whatever ebbs and flows, but it's been like a roller coaster. I would just jump in both feet into a community or an ideology. It wasn't even like religious. It was just like I found something that felt right to me. I would jump in head first, and I would try to find identity there or belonging there. And then at some point, I would hit a wall where I wasn't allowed to ask certain questions or say what I wanted.
Yeah.
I'm talking business, religious, political. I went down every avenue, every road, conspiracy theories. No, you're not allowed to bring this frame of thought into that. Like there's always something I wasn't allowed to I was asking the wrong questions about, or saying too much, or getting too weird, or pushing the limits too far, because there's nothing. I mean, Christina would know, there's nothing that we can't talk about that I'm going to be like, oh, well, not that. Unless you're literally like trying to do harm to me, manipulate me, you're lying to me and yourself. All I want is for us to grow and to see the scope of experience, that we can feel something similar but go through such different.
For sure.
Christina knows when I'm making this face. Such different paths. We've gone through very, but I bet we can connect on a feeling of that path. So suppressing it, shoving it down, hiding it, being ashamed of it, that keeps the light out of that. It keeps us ashamed, guilty, heavy, And I even wrote down about the words mistakes to experience. Mistake is heavy and experience is lighter. The word is lighter. So let's say even talking about the word God. The word God was really heavy to me for a long time, and I couldn't even use it when I left the church for a bit. It's changed for me, but I had to use words that didn't have as much weight to them. And literally, I mean, words have weight, good or bad, heavy or light. For Christina, God is such a beautiful, empowering word, obviously. I mean, it's everything, right? Your source. But for another person, that word could be heavy. And to use it without feeling true to yourself can actually cause harm to you. If God isn't your word, don't use that word.
Right.
Use a word that's consciousness, source, belief, core. I mean, feeling, emotion, whatever you connect with right now, wherever you're at, dimension, paradigms, like we can talk about anything. The language, and it's like the feeling of the connection point is beyond words. But to notice the weight, and the energy has, is where we connect.
Yeah.
Christina and I connected in the church when we were very involved, religiously. We connected at that point as well. Very specifically.
Yes.
And like reading through certain stuff. So it's about having walls. Where am I allowed to explore? Because I'm not afraid. I know who I am. I know what I believe now. I don't judge you for believing anything you believe, because I don't get hooked into it automatically. That's my belief system. I can believe what I want. I can let you believe whatever you want, coexist in a beautiful way that we can connect.
I think that's when you learn to own your mistakes or your bad experiences, when you can like you said, I love how you said that, like when you let light into your darkness, because I always think of like shame and guilt and those things like mold. Like if you let mold just grow in your bathroom, like it hides in the dark place. But once you like let light in there and you can see it, like you take it out. So I think for me, once I've learned to stop feeling like shameful about things like choices that I've made. I'm like, I've learned lessons and it made me who I am today. It allows me to have more empathy for other people too, like that are making choices that I would say are good or bad or whatever. I'm like, you know what, they're just in a different place now, you know, like they're having their own, we're all in a human experience, we're all having our own human experience, and it allows me to have more empathy for other people who are making those choices.
Right.
Absolutely. I just want to mention Sierra is moderating for us. So if you guys have anything that you want to say, she might respond to you and then let us know. So if you guys want to talk about anything, let us know that you're here, whether it's live or later on for the replay. And the topics that we chose today were from our Facebook group, the Secret Society of Self-Care. So if you want to have like more of a say, I don't think the link's up yet, sorry. But it's on Facebook. If you want to talk to us more, that's where you can find us to really like have discussions that maybe aren't, you know, public on a live stream. You know, so I just want to mention that really quick. Nikki wants, I think are you gonna share on this too, the spiritual journey? Did you want to share?
Sure, I can.
Like, I just want to say this is what we're doing next. The Oracle cards for humanity. Not right after she talks, but like next. We're gonna see where we finish up and maybe do something really quick on relationships, family relationships. But okay. Nikki, again, we're still in, let me get back to this, reframing our spiritual journey. And I want to hear your perspective because yours is different.
I was not raised with religion at all, but I've always just like felt something. Like if I went to church with someone, I was like overwhelmed of like just like wanting to cry and like, oh, I love this. But I've also always wanted to belong to something. So I understand like where you, Elise, you're saying like, oh, you would jump in both feet and just be all in. I always wanted to have that connection, but I never had it. I wasn't raised with religion, but I always felt that there was something. And I have had experiences where it's like, one example, I wanted to go, I don't know if anyone knows of Casadega. It's a place in Florida. And I had told someone like, oh, I really want to go there. And they're a very like Christian faith. And they were like, oh, you can't do that. That's bad. And I let that affect me. I never went. And now looking back, I'm like, I really should have gone. Like, why did I let someone else, like, I don't even know your religion, but you told me it was wrong.
Yep.
So I was like, no, I'm not going.
It's weird, right? And you don't even have to know what the words mean, or you never have to have had that experience. Other people that we trust, their opinions, or to look out for us. And I'm doing, and we don't mean that anyone did it on purpose, like to try to harm us, or like we're not saying someone did this to us and they hurt us and framed us. A lot of these people who framed our experiences were just trying to take care of us, protect us. And that's the same thing that our minds do. That's the same thing our minds are doing. That's why it's like a game. Our brains need something to do. They get bored. And so when something like new comes up, our brain is just like bored and trying to protect us. It's not like, that's why we should take the shame away from it. Connect it to the feelings. Don't beat ourselves up because we have negative thoughts or pain, you know, let's shift that into, because it's just about being authentic to yourself. If you think that the world is right and you are wrong because you don't fit in it, then pain, you're always going to feel pain. It's always going to feel miserable. You can't step in and really appreciate yourself or really receive love that you deserve because you don't believe in love like that you deserve love like that. And you invite in relationships and things that aren't healthy. Sorry. You guys know how I am. I apologize. I ramble.
I love that you do it because I do it too. So I'm like, I don't know what else.
And someday we're going to talk about taking the shame off of that label as well. Not even the shame off of it, but like not getting so hooked into the label, not being ashamed of it, but also not like identifying completely with it. We have a lot
of using it as like an excuse. Like that is something too.
Right. I mean, to notice like the ADHD actually is a working memory disconnect. Like there's an actual disconnect in like the way that your brain fires between a thought and like the executive action with your physical body. Not always. It's different. It's different for everybody. But okay, we can't get into this right now.
I'm ready to go. Let's do it.
We're going to do this in the future. We have to finish up. So I'm just going to ask a question on this one because this was actually a request. The last thing we want to we're talking about reframing is family and love relationships before we do our Oracle Cards for Humanity picks. So don't leave yet. That's the next thing we're doing. Christina has to go pretty soon, so we have to move quick. But there was
I'll spare like 10 extra minutes for you.
All right. So this is about family and love relationships, and a question that we got from the group specifically. Let's touch on and then finish up. How do we create boundaries with family in the way that, like, when we have people who are, you know, we love, but are bringing toxic energy into, you know, into our lives, and having to like maybe remove that or create boundaries. How do we do that in our closest relationships where we tend to paint red flags pink? Let's put it that way. The one of you want to go? Go.
Okay. So for me, like, so I'm notorious for painting red flags pink. That's so great. I love that. At least I might steal that. But so my mom is probably the one that I really have to work on my boundaries with. So she's a narcissist, but she also has like personality disorder issues as well. So she plays herself as the victim very well, very often. And so one of the things I had to learn to do for myself was to, it sounds so easy and so simple, but just being direct and honest. And I unfortunately think so many of us are afraid to be direct and be honest with anybody because we're afraid that we're going to hurt somebody else's feelings. But one of the things I've learned is if you aren't honest and direct with how you're feeling and you're expressing that to somebody else, you're doing more harm to yourself than the other person. So one of the things I had to learn with my mother, she would always, whenever we would FaceTime, she knows my weight is like my trigger. She would always like look at my face and be like, "Oh, Christina, I've seen you've eaten like 5 cheeseburgers in the last month or something. Like you gained 5." Like she would just make very condescending remarks like that. I would have to be like, "Hey, Mom, we're not talking about my weight. If we're going to talk about this, we're going to get off the phone. And when you're ready to talk about something else, we can talk about something else." I remember the first time I did that, she was not happy at all. She didn't talk to me for like a week. But I had to be consistent with that, and I had to hold true to that. So anytime she would bring up my weight or anytime she would bring up a topic that I wasn't comfortable having a conversation with, I would have to be like, "Hey, Mom, can we talk about something else? Mom, you know I'm not comfortable talking about that. I would really appreciate you respecting that boundary." And again, it's consistency. Every time she wouldn't, I'd be like, "Hey, Mom, I'm going to go. I'm going to get off the phone. I'll talk to you later. I love you." And I had to explain to her that having those boundaries up didn't mean that I didn't love her. It meant that I just had to love myself a little bit more.
Right. And that that sense of knowing yourself, and then you go, wait, I deserve to be respected in this room, in every room. And if I'm not, I can leave. Like, to realize you have choice.
Yes.
Your choice, your creating boundaries is your choice. To let people step over your boundaries is your choice. Like, it's all about how do we want to deal with certain things. And like, are we worried about confrontation? Are we afraid of how those people react? Because the people who take advantage are the ones who react to boundaries like that. And not even necessarily people take advantage of on purpose, but they're used to interacting with us in a certain way. And then we're all of a sudden different. You know,
I was always afraid of like confrontation because I was always afraid of like that backlash, whether it's from my mom or somebody else. Like I would be afraid of, you know, saying anything to anybody at one point. I think I had to just learn to say things lovingly. I struggle with that sometimes.
But when you start with boundaries, they're kind of like,
exactly,
because you've never had them, and you're hurt, and you need to all of a sudden like throw up the walls, be alone. Yes. Who am I?
Right.
What do I believe? What do I think? What do I deserve? it's an interesting space.
It is.
If you want an oracle card for humanity reading, start putting the little, hold on, this little guy, this little, is that up? Oh yeah. The
Yes.
little, it doesn't really matter. Just tell us you want one. Sierra's keeping track. It doesn't matter what emoji you put in there. But that's what we're going to finish up with in a minute, but we need to start compiling those. So if you want an oracle card for humanity reading in like, what, 3 or 5 minutes, hopefully, start to leave your comment about it now. Nikki, did you want to share something about boundaries in your intimate relationships? Most intimate relationships, emotionally intimate, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know so much about like intimate that I would go with, but definitely I did have to learn how to set boundaries. And the biggest thing with that was understanding myself, like having to take that time, like you're saying, like it's an interesting space where it's like, who am I? What do I actually want? What do I feel? But what's really cool about when you do that is you notice that you don't react. It's you respond to things, but you don't necessarily react. Like you were saying, Christina, your mom might say something about your weight. Maybe before you would react by getting upset or yelling or something, but then you learned how to set that boundary and respond with an intention of, I'm going to take care of myself.
That was like and this is actually like the perfect way to close it probably, because this is what we talked about. How different it feels when you reframe your mistakes to experiences. You don't feel like that I'm right. People have to believe what I believe, and it has to be this way or I feel uncomfortable. Because it's hard to let go of that when you don't quite know where, you know what I mean? Like you're not quite anchored in to who you are yet. Mm-hmm. And then you go out into the world and you experience these things. And sure, you move around and you sway and you play with things, with the boundaries to say things in a loving way. It's hard to say things in a loving way when your heart is ripped open. Yes. You sometimes, and we know, and like projecting onto our companions, the people who are closest to us, is what we do. We project our deepest stuff on the people who are closest to us. That's just what we do. So they trigger us the most. They're the ones who are going to be most reactive to our parents, our kids, our, partners. And so to know who we are in those relationships without that person, but with, like, we tend to kind of get intertwined with our kids or like these other people, and we don't really realize who we are until we take a little space.
It's important to have like just that identity as your own, like, and I'm not a parent, so I don't understand, but like my identity was with my ex-husband for a long time, and I think it's just so important to have like your own identity outside of anybody else.
That was the big thing with the military. That was the thing I experienced with being married to the military, was my loss of identity. I was his social security number. I was his, like, everything was being attached to this other person.
Yes.
And that was a gateway almost for me into losing my identity, because at a certain point when I got divorced, I didn't. So what was self-care? I've heard of self-care
self-care was pizza and the couch and Netflix for me.
But I didn't even have that. I didn't know what I liked. Everything was about how to please this household, like how to uphold a certain dynamic in my life and keep up a certain mask, because that's how I belonged. That's how I knew to belong. And then it just broke, because you can't uphold it forever. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Is there anything else? I mean, like, I want to close this up. We have several requests for readings. We have 4 so far, and we got to do Christina's too. So, are you guys ready for this? Nikki, are you ready for this? Because you're this other side of. Okay. We're about to start the Oracle card readings. Thank you guys so much for being here and participating with us, for being in the group and helping us choose the topics. And we're going to do this more. So we want to know what you want to talk about so we can all be together. What was it? Oh, I wanted to tell you, next month we're doing the live stream. We're going to do it before the full moon, but we're going to be telling scary stories in costume. So I just want you to know, mark it off on your calendars. October 15th is when we're doing that, and it's going to be really fun. It's just going to be fun and cool. It's going to be cool, guys. Really cool. All right, let's start the oracle card readings. Do you guys want to say anything? I'm sorry, guys. This is just what it was. Apologies.
I appreciate it.
The very first one is for Sierra because she is our moderator. And I told her that thank you, like as a thank you. I got it. You have your card?
I do.
Yeah, hers.
All right. What gets better with age?
My own energy.
Oh,
Here, it's not sweet. We forgot to tell you guys these are supposed to be funny and they're actually really sweet. They're really cute. Okay, so my own energy, Sierra. I love being there for friends and family while staying true to myself. And she's the one who actually asked that question about boundaries with the
interesting.
So isn't that interesting? I don't let the energy of others or their mood affect my own. To help a friend in a hole, I don't need to jump in the hole with them. Simply reach out a hand. The rest is up to them. They're just sweet. Let us know how you like your reading. Sarah loved hers. Next one is Christina's because she has to go to work and we got to let her go. And we're so thankful. Thank you for being here. Christina has a podcast, you guys, by the way. I don't know. Well, now you do. You're still doing your podcast, but now you are.
Yeah, I am. I had it's called Finding Christina, and it's on Spotify. I forgot to send you the link. I suck. I haven't done one in a month, so way to put me out there.
That's what I said. If you stop doing it, you're doing it again now. So sorry. All right, what's
okay? I have to say that this is very interesting that I pulled this card because Christina has mentioned her weight and the thing with her mom. The question that I got is, what's the new fad diet?
Oh my God. Guess what? Oh, you're going to fucking flip out. Hold on. Food. 100% food. Baby, eat. You eat and you fucking just eat what you want. That healed me too. We're going to do, that's a topic that's coming up, you guys.
We talked about that.
On it. Taking the shame away from food. It says, what I eat fuels me. I eat the best food accessible to me and infuse my food with love and gratitude before eating. Visualizing the nutrients I am consuming and the love that went into growing and preparing the food.
I love that so much. So it's so funny. So when I started like my new lifestyle, I decided to stop using the word diet because I'm like, how many freaking diets have we gone on? And so one of the things I started telling myself was like, I stopped looking at food as like, oh my God, this is so bad for me, but I'm going to eat it anyway. Instead, I'm like, you know what? This is great. I'm going to enjoy this. And that's that. Like,
I struggle with my weight my whole life. Someday when we do actually do the workshop, I'll share a picture of myself. And literally when it changed for me, it was literally taking the shame away from it because I didn't have the energy to pre-plan. Yeah. Honest to God, I did not have the energy for it. So I was like, just forget it. Fuck it. If I get, if I gain weight, I gain weight is what it is. And then like 6 months later, my body just changed. It's wild.
It's incredible.
It's weird.
You sent me the picture before because we've had this discussion already, obviously. And it was absolutely incredible. Like,
whoever's next, Amanda's next, by the way. I already got her card out. So it already fell out and jumped. So
I'm gonna dip out, guys.
Thank you so much for being here. I talked over you like a jerk.
Thank you. I'm so glad. I was so okay. So honestly, I've been wanting to do like a YouTube live thing or like a podcast thing with somebody. So this was like the most amazing segue or like learning experience because I've never done this before. So thank you both.
Share the replay. Share the replay. Thank you so much for being here. We're grateful for you.
Yes.
You can leave.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. All right, it's just us, guys.
Okay, so the next one, I feel like we got this card last time too, and I think it was actually yours, but it's why can't I sleep at night? Did you say this is for Amanda?
This is for Amanda, yeah. Why can't I sleep at night? Well, it says tune in, so maybe not tuned in. Lack of what's the, and I can't think of what's the word with the radio when it's off, like when it's staticky. What is that called? Sorry, you guys. Today, before doing what I normally do, I will take a moment to slow down, to place my hands at my heart. Do you see me already holding my heart?
Yeah.
This is what I always do. To place my hands at my heart space and take a few deep breaths. I will ask myself what I truly want and will honor however I am feeling.
Okay, let's also go back to the question was, why can't I sleep at night? I feel like that's great.
Yeah, perfect. Do you like that, Amanda? Let us know. Let us know if that was good. Thank you. All right. Up next is Mona.
Okay.
Let's see. Mona doesn't know that I hacked. I'm pretty sure that's you, Mona. Just know that's your last name. Let me know if it's not.
Okay. So it is blank, good to the last drop. So what is good to the last drop?
Following my joy is good to the last drop. It says, today I will write down 10 things I enjoy doing. The things that make me feel good and raise my mood. Then I'll pick one or as many as I feel guided to and go do it. When I am having fun and enjoying life, I am in a state of allowing for all that I desire. That was yours, Mona. Amanda says she loved hers too, tuning in. And yes, it is Mona. I confirmed. Mona, following your joy. And this is so, the way that I know Mona, this is so perfect for her. I know it is, because this is what, just the journey that she's on. I know. Yeah. So next, Christine.
All right.
If anyone else pops in and wants a card, let us know before we finish up, because we are on the end. Ooh, that's the one.
Okay. How am I maintaining my relationship status?
Balance. I love that. But what I love about it, number one, the scales are Libra. That's
right. And that's coming up.
Symbol. And that's what the season we're moving into in like 3 days. Libra season. So the sun is, shifting. And I love that it has a little heart to like relationship balance. Because it is about relationships as well. Libra is Venus and relationship oriented. So Christine, this is yours. I surround myself with people I love and enjoy my time with them, but I also take time to nurture my relationship with myself. I have found a healthy balance between being with friends and having self-care time. And Christine is in a phase too, where she's a transition phase with her kids too, and in her career and, stepping into that phase when your kids are babies,
yes.
When you have more time for yourself. So that's like, I think it's good. If anyone else comes on and you want a card, let us know. Nikki, your turn.
All right, let's see what I get.
The captain goes down with the ship, so I'm last.
I got this. Hold on. What never fails to liven up the party?
Watering your dreams. Where is this at? Oh, I'm shaking, guys. It's the coffee. All right, it says, all I desire is on its way to me, but like a seed, my dreams too must be watered. This is your journal.
Yes.
My belief and determination is what makes them grow. I will be patient throughout this journey. It is all unfolding at the perfect time. And with your box premiere, look at that. She's got her, your real launch goes out in January. So everything is unfolding at the perfect time. All right, this is me. I think we're closing. Right. I think this is it.
Okay, yours is, in 1,000 years, when paper money is a distant memory, how will we pay for goods and services?
Oh no. Unique lives. Isn't that? I think that's kind of perfect, because I feel like, isn't that what we're doing right now? I feel like this is how we're paying for goods and services right now. We're not asking for anything, guys. This is just for fun and free. You have to like my personality to hang out here. Sorry. The requirement. I respect everyone's individual decisions and ways of life. I know, saw your eyes go with that because of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We are each on our own unique journeys, and my way isn't the only way. My job is not to change others, but simply to love them.
Stop.
I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry. Oh, you guys, I'm all like warm and fuzzy now. Thank you so much for being here. We are so grateful. We will put the links that we talked about below. Let us know if you are here for the replay. And I mean, if you're hanging out at this point and you're here for the replay, I applaud you, because I wouldn't hang out this long if I was watching someone else's readings. We are so grateful. Join our group, the Secret Society of Self-Care, if you're not in there, so you can discuss with us if there's anything more that you want to talk about. Nikki's box, Christina's podcast, or working with me one-on-one. You can find us there. Moonlit Magic Self-Care Rituals on Facebook and Instagram. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't. I don't think I asked you guys to do that because I forget about everything. And tune in next month, October 15th, for our scary stories. Thank you. I love you guys so much.
Thank you.